Hello and welcome to News Central TV. I am Adebola Adedugba. The top stories at this hour. Ajuri Ngelale steps down as President Tinubu's spokesperson. NNPC says no guarantee of lower petrol prices despite Dangote refinery coming on board. Kenya school fire death toll rises to 18. And details shortly. Let's begin by telling you that a special advisor to President Bola Tinubu on media and publicity, Ajuri Ngelale, has stepped down from his role with immediate effect. In a statement issued by him on Saturday, Ngelale said he had submitted a memo to the Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila, informing him of his plan to proceed on indefinite leave. Ngelale added that he has stepped down as the Special Presidential Envoy on Climate Action and Chairman of the Presidential Steering Committee on Project Evergreen. News Central's Adeshwa takes us through his journey as a journalist and politician in the last 5 years.
In 2019, Ajuri Ngelale took a significant career shift, hanging his heart as a seasoned senior reporter and presenter with Channels Television and AIT respectively, to take on a new role as the Presidential Senior Special Advisor on Public Affairs to President Muhammadu Buhari. Ngelale started journalism career as a youth corps member at Africa Independence Television. He was retained by AIT, where he worked from 2011 to 2016.
Ajuri Ngelale, AIT News.
He left AIT in 2016 and joined Channels Television, where he served as a co-anchor of popular public policy discussion program, Sunrise Daily.
So many things going on in the country, so many policies and programs being...
In 2019, Ajuri resigned from Channels Television to become lead media content producer for the All Progressives Congress Next Level presidential campaign for the re-election of President Muhammadu Buhari on the Buhari Oshibajo Presidential Campaign Organization. Following their victory at the poll in 2019, President Buhari appointed Ngelale as a senior special advisor on public affairs and served in this capacity till 2023, when President Buhari left office. In October 2022, Ngelale was appointed co-principal spokesperson of Tinubu Shetima Presidential Campaign Organization. On July 31, 2023, President Bola Tinubu appointed Ngelale as his official spokesperson. He was later appointed as the first special presidential envoy on climate action and the chairman of the Presidential Steering Committee on Project Evergreen. Ngelale was born in USA to a Nigerian father and German-American mother. He earned a degree in political science and history from the University of Kansas and returned to Nigeria in 2011 for his National Youth Service Corps. While announcing an indefinite leave of absence, Ajuri cited medical concerns and family matters. In Lagos for News Central, Adeshwa.
And to unwrap this, we're joined by public affairs commentator Jide Johnson. Good afternoon. Glad to have you join me on the news. All right, so let me kick off by, prior to this indefinite leave of absence by Ajuri, it appears that the Presidential Media Office is divided because we have seen where Ajuri and also his counterpart, that's Bayo Ononuga, not once gave conflicting statements. What are your thoughts over this stepping down episode, though on health grounds now?
First and foremost, we respect his decision based on the reason provided for his indefinite leave to take care of his good health. We pray that Almighty God will grant him whatever illness he is suffering or they are suffering from. But like you pointed out, it's very clear that there's no clear-cut distinction with respect to what will be the role of the official spokesperson for the president. In the sense that, can you hear me?
Mr. Johnson, yeah, we keep losing you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Now I can. Go ahead.
Okay. So, like I pointed out, there's no clear-cut rule between what his function is and that of Bayo Onanuga, and that conflicting rule, like you pointed out, has led to many conflicting statements coming from the presidency, and that could have been one of the factors. That's my opinion, that might have led to him putting up this memo stating his indefinite leave request from the presidency.
Well, oftentimes we have seen media personnel who are known to be factual and also speak truth to power sort of change when they occupy political offices. What do you think is responsible for this?
Well, it's about access. I usually, when I teach my students, I say, don't ever accept the responsibility of official spokesperson to achieve executive, whether in the public or private sector, if you don't have access to that person. If you don't understand the dynamics of the power play that operates within the corridor of power, because one of the critical elements in terms of being the official spokesperson is for you to have access to the principal. And so in most cases, most people that have assumed this particular role, leaving the media industry and going into the murky waters of politics, do not have an understanding of the political operations and the understanding of the various interest groups that characterize being an official spokesperson for the president. You'll recall, like you pointed out, most of those that have assumed this responsibility usually leave this office with their credibility index lower than what it used to be when they were in professional practice. We can name names, but we don't want to enter into that route. But it's very clear that it's just the issue of access. It's about access to the principal, getting the mindset of the principal. And in most cases, they don't even have direct access to the principal.
Well, there is this belief in certain quarters that something is amiss in this government. We have seen a series of resignation from Director General of the NIA, Director General of the DSS, and now it is the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity. Is that something awry in this presidency?
I think it's something we should celebrate, in the sense that in Nigeria, we don't see people turning in their resignation. They rather stay in office until they are kicked out. There's no doubt that this is a new trend. Sometimes when you see people put up this type of resignation, it might be demanded by the principal. Rather than for me to fire you, you fire yourself. So I give you the opportunity to take the honorable route of tendering your resignation, rather than for me to announce through a test statement that such a person has been fired, and which I think is more tidier than what we have had in the past. A lot of people read misgivings to it, but it's important for us to understand that the chief executive, whether in the public sector or in the private sector, ultimately has the final say, the power to hire and to fire. And if we believe in democratic values and democratic principles, I think this particular approach, I think, is what is best for the polity, and people will not read different types of meaning to it, other than for the person to be fired with a test statement that such a person has been relieved of his duty.
Well, thank you so much for your thoughts on the news. Jide Johnson, public affairs commentator. Many thanks indeed.
It's a pleasure to be with Adeshewa. Thank you for having me. Have a wonderful weekend ahead.
And now to update on fuel scarcity. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has denied claims that it is responsible for the recent hike in premium motor spirit, commonly called petrol, in the country. The company said the pricing of petroleum products from any refinery, including the Dangote Refinery Limited, is determined by global market forces, stating there is no guarantee of lower prices associated with domestic refining of the products in the country. The NNPC stated this on Saturday in reaction to rumors it is attempting to monopolize the offtake of all products from the Dangote refinery. The NNPC further emphasized that there is no guarantee of lower prices associated with domestic refining compared to any global parity pricing framework, as confirmed by the Dangote Refinery Limited. In the meantime, Oil marketers in Nigeria are yet to commence loading premium motor spirit despite government assuring it of being available by weekend. Reports say while PMS vehicles have arrived at NNPC's Apapa and Port Harcourt depots, independent marketers have not begun loading. A few queues persisted across major cities on Friday, despite the Minister of State for Petroleum, Henikin Lopobiri, promising mass availability soon. Mustafa Zama of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria said loading may start by Sunday, with few queues possibly stretching until Monday. NNPCL aims to begin lifting products from the Dangote refinery by September 15th. Meanwhile, President of the Petroleum Products Retail Outlets Owners Association of Nigeria, Billy Gillis Gahari, confirmed ongoing delays keeping fuel prices high at filling stations. Earlier, economic analyst Izu Uwaoma joined us on the news to discuss this.
What he's saying is that we need to sort of be open to pay now so we can play later. That's another fancy word for sacrifice, except that that advice has to be taken first from the people who are giving the advice, right? I agree that one of the most important things that we need to do is to make sacrifices for us to grow, but that sacrifice has to come from the top. It's like you saying there's no money in the house and then you're coming back home when your kids haven't eaten with Chinese food, which is expensive in Nigerian context. That's really what the problem is. But yes, it's a game of pay now and play later. What that would do for us right now is that we'll probably have a fiscal deficit, which is good for us in terms of strengthening Naira on one end. And if you add the fact that hopefully we start lifting from Dangote refinery, those are all things that were supposed to help us strengthen the Naira. That's the sacrifice he's referring to. And then when we have more money, we can put it in the most capital-oriented project. That's an ideal case. But that's not the case. We all know that.
Away from that, the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, has distanced itself from a recently announced new seated home order, which is planned to last for 30 days. Emmanuel Kano, younger brother to the leader of the group, Nnamdi Kano, in an interview with News Central's Chinwe Ugili, says the group never made such order. He also made clarifications on the claim about the position of Simon Ekpa in IPOB.
The initial reason for introducing the sit-at-home order by the indigenous people of Biafra, according to them, was to subtly protest the detention of their leader, Nnamdi Kano, by the Nigerian authorities. At the early stage, the people in the southeast complied with the order, but later the protest was abused, hence the cancellation of all sit-at-home by the leadership.
Remember also that people have chosen willingly on their own to sit at home in solidarity with the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. It's not our making. Even in numerous occasions, IPOB has called for the lifting of sit at home, but people said no. This is the only weapon we have. We need to sit at home until Nnamdi Kano is released.
Yet attempts by the people to trade or carry on with their normal activities on any day declared sit at home had enforcers destroying goods and lives of citizens of Nigeria within the southeast region. Orders continue to come from various sources. Is the place of Simon Ekpa in IPOB?
He is not a member of IPOB. He does not represent IPOB either. People should understand that. It's not as if Nnamdi Kano is incommunicado. We can always reach out to him. And of course, most of the instructions come from him. And his order is final as long as IPOB movement is concerned.
The recent rumors of a planned 30 days sit at home is not only unauthorized, but anti-people.
You know, people have seen the entire movement, as a huge merchandise. And therefore, they are cashing out on that. So they can come up and say whatever they want to say. They can allege that Nnamdi Kano is my leader, and they keep extorting people and frustrating the entire, business environment.
Emmanuel Kano, younger brother to Nnamdi, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra and spokesperson of the family, says such order never emanated from IPOB.
We are not part of that process. The reason why IPOB is set up is for the good of our people. We have not come to cause them pain.
Although some residents of Oma had justified the occasional sit at home, they however think that to sit at home for 30 days is quite a tall order.
na-erubere ya isi na-abụghị mmadụ niile ha ekwesịghị na-asị mmadụ apụtakwala nọrọ n'ụlọ.
There are people that are living in everyday money. Anything they get, that is what they eat. And you're trying to keep at home for almost 1 month. It cannot work.
It's impossible now. It's impossible. I can't say at home for 30 days.
The major concern here would be the different orders and counter orders coming from persons who lay claim to the leadership of the organization, even when the leadership itself has clearly disowned them. In Omaha for News Central, Chinwe Ugele.
Let's take a break. When the news returns, parents unsure of children's resumption amid economic hardship. Join us again. Thank you for staying with us. A federal high court in Ikoyi, Lagos, presided by Justice Dende Dikpeolu, has scheduled a hearing for Thursday, September 12, to address all applications regarding the forfeited assets linked to former Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Godwin Emefiele. Earlier, Justice Akintayo Aluko ordered the interim forfeiture of $2.045 million and multiple properties connected to Emefiele following an application by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. These assets include duplexes in Lekki and Ikoyi, undeveloped land, a bungalow, and an industrial complex in Delta State. The court also ordered the forfeiture of 2 share certificates held by Emefiele. The EFCC was instructed to publish a notice in a national newspaper inviting any interested parties to challenge the final forfeiture. The case will proceed with legal representatives from both sides. Renovating correctional centers, decongesting them through judicial reforms, and expediting trials are essential to improving living conditions in these facilities. Regular training for wardens and other officials is also crucial to safeguarding the rights and dignity of inmates. More details in this report.
A recent viral video from the Calabar Correctional Center showing inmate allegedly served a meager breakfast of poorly cooked beans sparked outrage, shedding light on the dire conditions in correctional centers. The footage serves as a grim reminder of the long-standing issues of abuse, overcrowding, and neglect plaguing the system.
People are locked up in some prisons that 5, 6, 7 years, they have not even go to court.
Our case management system has been a very huge setback. We don't digitalize. A number of people you find awaiting trial in most considered facilities don't even have files. Detention procedure need to be reviewed in this part of the world because, again, there is some level of gaps and setback, which is also not aligning with the consistency that we have within the administration of criminal justice regime.
With nearly 76,000 inmates crammed into facilities designed to hold 50,000, the consequences are devastating.
One of the facilities in Kwara recently, the inmates were carrying each other because they were weak, they couldn't walk, they have been infected with some kind of diseases because of the level of number, the overcrowding, where they defecate. You will realize that it is actually a breeding ground for virus and how things can spread very fast. If you see the food they eat, they are fed about once a day.
Approximately 70% of inmates are awaiting trial, some for years without a hearing, contributing to a sense of hopelessness. Many inmates resort to violence or self-harm as a means of coping. Experts argue that Nigeria's justice system focuses too heavily on punitive measures rather than adopting a restorative approach.
In order to promote the interests of victims and the rehabilitation of offenders, there's a need to develop restorative justice policies, procedures, and programs
to foster a more compassionate and inclusive justice system, address the root causes of conflicts and crimes, promote accountability and responsibility, support victims' recovery and empowerment.
Though the Nigerian government has pledged reforms to improve conditions in these facilities, critics argue that these efforts remain insufficient.
The government has actually reviewed the feeding allowance of inmates in our custody with 50%. And this is just the first phase of the review. The government is also looking at the next phase where they will actually improve the allowance of inmates.
The center's security vulnerabilities have become even more concerning following several high-profile jailbreaks in recent years. Experts say Nigeria must prioritize human rights and dignity of inmates while working towards a fairer and more just criminal justice system. Meanwhile, the Nigeria Correctional Service has launched an investigation into the Calabar incident, acknowledging that the videos does not reflect its commitment to welfare of inmates. In Lagos 4 News Central, I am Igbalani Omani.
Education is widely regarded as the foundation of civilization, and this underscores the crucial role education plays in individual and societal advancement. News Central's Chizoba Anyanwe took to the streets of Jos, the Plateau State capital, to gauge parents' preparedness as their children prepare for the 2024-25 academic session amidst the backdrop of a struggling economy. Her reports.
While education is essential for children's future opportunities and success, the necessary resources must be available to support this goal. Ensuring that children are enrolled in quality schools is a major priority for many parents. Unfortunately, current economic hardships are a significant obstacle to this goal. With the new school session just around the corner, many parents may struggle to afford school fees, potentially preventing their children from returning to school.
Things are hard. Many parents, the children will not go back to school this time around. Look at the fuel scarcity, feeding is even a problem. From here to here, they will tell you that 300, 500. So things are so difficult for parents, really.
And this school issue, seriously, I think in the future, if they do not do something, some like us, our children will not go to school. Seriously. So we are appealing to government to please help us to adjust some things.
My children will be resuming school on Monday, and it has been, a really headache on how we're going to do with the school runs. The cost of fuel has just been increased, and I remember in August, there was a protest asking the president to help reduce the price of fuel, and instead of reducing, we're now seeing an increase. And I know a lot of things will be a ripple effect.
Knowing that you have to go back to pay higher school fees this term, because I think everything has continued to increase daily. So the condition is really, really so dire for everyone, honestly.
In the past, many relied on government support, but today, skepticism about government assistance is widespread. However, some still hold out hope for governmental solutions.
As I'm talking to you now, even my own self, my family, they cannot even eat once a day, sir. So the thing is very difficult for us.
I don't think at this point in time government can do anything for us, because we've been saying government needs to do this, government needs to do this, and they've always been doing the opposite. They've consistently been doing the opposite of what we've been asking them to do. So I don't really know how government can help us anymore.
Definitely the school fees will be increased because of feeding, especially boarding students. They have to increase their feedings. So it's not going to be easy for parents. Things are really hard. Government's supposed to do something.
It's not easy. We're just hoping and relying on God, because this new term now, they've increased school fees. Price of fuel has gone up, everything has gone up. So the government should come to the aid of Nigerians.
Given the current situation, the number of out-of-school children may rise unless significant measures are taken to alleviate the economic strain on families. Only time will tell how this pans out in the lives of the Nigerian children. In Jos for News Central, Chizoba Anyanwe.
Nigeria's federal government has flagged off its agricultural intervention initiative for women farmers in Edo State called Project Earn from the Soil. The Senior Special Assistant to the President on Community Engagement South-South, during the flag-off, says the federal government is committed to achieving food security. Our correspondent Joshua Imarai throws more light.
The initiative has previously been launched in several states, including Cross River, Akwa Ibom, and Bayelsa State. Nigeria's federal government says it is targeting over 500,000 smallholder farmers, fishing communities, persons in agribusiness and coastal communities across the South-South region. The Senior Special Assistant to the President on Community Engagement South-South says that President Bola Tinubu is committed to ensuring that women in Edo State are empowered.
With this project, we aim to create a generation of women agripreneurs who will lead the way in transforming our agricultural landscape. As we embark on this ambitious journey, let us remember that the empowerment of women is a shared responsibility.
The Edo North coordinator of the Women Economic Empowerment Program urged women in the region to seize the opportunity provided by the initiative to boost exports from the state.
Most of the things that these women need is the finance to help them grow. If they are given just a little thing to help them, you support them with some seedlings and even cultivating materials, insecticides, weed control, chemicals. I tell you, we will have more than enough to export.
Women in the state have welcomed the launch of the empowerment scheme, saying they hope to leverage its benefit to improve their socio-economic status.
Emergency response experts have called on the government to prioritize mechanisms that would ensure every Nigerian, irrespective of their location, gets timely and early warning signals against disasters. They said this will help people prepare for emergencies and respond accordingly. Our correspondent, Idong Joseph, has details.
Disasters, whether natural or man-made, can strike at any time, leaving devastating impacts on communities and livelihoods. Though they can also have their effects mitigated through early warning signals, many believe this can act as a first line of defense and help citizens take necessary preventive measures. Experts say sensitizing those affected is apt and helps citizens in rural communities make informed decisions.
Flooding, we can't stop it. It's a natural phenomenon. There's nothing we can do about it. We cannot stop it. Neither can we stop drought. It's a natural phenomenon because of the climate change. But we can't adapt to it. We can build resilience.
To achieve this, we must invest in robust early warning systems that leverage technology and community networks.
With the recent floods affecting states in the country, they say there is a need to gather relevant data for the development of a national disaster risk reduction strategy for the next 7 years.
A review of NEMA existing plans and framework documents has indicated the urgent need to procure a more comprehensive action plan for disaster risk management in Nigeria in consideration of new and emerging hazards in the country. Such a plan is to align with the Sendai framework and the African Program of Action to increase disaster resilience and drive sustainable development.
They also called for more collaboration among relevant agencies of government to help mitigate the effects of disasters in the country.
By working together, ladies and gentlemen, we can build a culture of resilience and reduce the risk of disasters in Nigeria.
The problem is that when we go back to our states, we decided to hold it to ourselves. Don't let us hold this to ourselves. Contact your governor, make sure that you call all your stakeholders. If each local government, what need to be said, send it to them.
With this workshop geared toward creating a centralized data hub for disaster management in Nigeria, those present here say sensitization of citizens must be taken seriously. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idong Joseph.
And now to health matters. On August 14th, 2024, the World Health Organization, WHO, declared the rise in cases of mpox as a public health emergency of international concern. In Nigeria, the number of infections has risen to 48 and spread across 20 states, though no fatalities have been recorded. However, the Nigerian government has swiftly procured about 10,000 doses of trial vaccines from the U.S. government, raising concerns about the safety and efficacy of the administration of drugs that are yet to be fully approved for human use. Lekon Onobanjo fills us in.
Latest situation reports from the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention website
revealed that 48 confirmed cases of mpox infection from a cumulative number of 868 in 20 states were recorded with no fatalities. In a swift response, Nigeria became the first African country to receive 10,000 doses of the Genius MVA mpox trial vaccine donated by the U.S. government, with the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, granting only emergency use authorization as capacity for local production is not optimal.
So concerning the safety of the monkeypox vaccine, it has undergone rigorous testing and research and has been deemed safe for humans. This same vaccine was also used to eradicate smallpox, and this vaccine can reduce the severity of the infection in infected people.
NAFDAC for now has not attained the level where they can begin to supervise manufacturing of vaccines and other related biological products. They are trying to attain that. That is the ML4 that they are aspiring to, or WLA and Co. When they attain that, companies can now be allowed to manufacture, and until NAFDAC attains that level of regulation, they won't allow anybody to do that.
Across Africa, 12 other countries are battling the mpox outbreak, with thousands hospitalized. Despite the situation, concerns grow over the use of trial vaccines, as there are currently no FDA-approved treatments specifically for mpox.
When we have such opportunities, what do you want people to do? You weigh the risk and the benefits. Do you want people to continue to die of mpox? Do you want the condition to spread, thereby affecting the entire populace and curtailing our health, people's quality of life, again affecting your economy? Or the ones you already have, you want to try on few individuals and see? Because ultimately in drug development, when you take drug development through the various stages, it culminates in testing it in humans.
Although some antiviral drugs originally developed for related viruses are being used, their safety and effectiveness for treating mpox have not been thoroughly validated, with reports of potential side effects like elevated liver enzyme levels surfacing.
Every medication does come with its own side effects. However, these side effects of elevated liver enzymes is actually very, very rare. And even if it does happen, it would eventually go away on its own. Before the vaccine can be administered, certain tests such as a liver function test can be carried out to limit severe side effects such as this as well.
In countries like Nigeria and the Democratic Republic of Congo, medical practitioners are urging caution, calling for a balanced approach that prioritizes patient safety while addressing the growing threat of mpox. In Lagos for News Central, Lekon Onobanjo.
In a bid to safeguard the health of livestock, the Gombe State government has launched a vaccination campaign against major contagious diseases affecting cattle, sheep and goats. The diseases targeted include contagious bovine pleuropneumonia, pestis the pestis ruminants and anthrax. News Central's Umaru Kirawa tells us more.
The campaign, which seeks to engage veterinary professionals, local farmers, and community leaders, aims to curb disease outbreaks and improve the agricultural sector's resilience.
Most of our livestock has been vomiting blood. This was just as a result of some ailments from most livestock. So in that regard, His Excellency decided to come back and make this vaccination a compulsory event.
Gombe State Governor Inwa Yahaya enjoined all stakeholders in the livestock sector, including the Mieti Allah Cattle Breeders Association, traditional leaders, the local government councils, and livestock owners to cooperate with veterinary staff to ensure the success of the vaccination campaign.
Just like the other sectors of the agricultural sector of our economy, the livestock sector is taking care of and is doing its own or giving its own contribution to the GDP and the economy of Gombe State and Nigeria at large. We pledge that we will continue doing so, and I've urged the people, both the farmers and herders, are twins. We are in one place because God has destined that we'll be here, and there is no reason why we have any commotion.
The government urged neighboring states to collaborate in the fight against these diseases, stressing that effective control requires a coordinated and interstate approach.
I want to thank Mr. President President Bola Tinubu for specifically establishing a Ministry of Livestock Development at the federal level. And with it, we'll be able to ensure that there is synergy between the state, the local governments, and indeed our local communities, so that the federal government will give the guide as we deliver in our livestock sector and the agriculture sector, so that we guarantee the food security of this great country. I also want to thank Mr. President for giving the guide and for supporting Gombe State specially in order to deliver on his needs with regards to establishing an international cattle market.
Shortage of manpower in the veterinary sector, with 7 veterinary doctors and 24 superintendents in Gombe, is now the challenge which the state needs to tackle to meet to the large number of its livestock. In Gombe for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
Coming up, Kenya school fire death toll rises to 18. We'll bring you details after the break. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. The news continues in East Africa, where Kenya police stepped up their investigation on Saturday into a prime school dormitory blaze that has now cost the lives of 18 boys as families face agonizing wait for news of their missing loved ones. Government spokesman Isaac Mawara confirmed this at a press briefing at a hillside in Darasha Academy, where the fire struck around midnight on Thursday. The flames engulfed the dormitory at the primary school, where more than 150 boys aged between 9 and 13 were sleeping. Mawara said 18 children had died in the blaze at a school in the central county of Nyeri, up from a previous toll of 17 given by President William Ruto on Friday.
The tragic loss of 18 of our children following the fire incident here at Hillside and Darasha Academy in the boys' dormitory, which housed 58 boys, 156 boys, I beg your pardon, is a catastrophe beyond our imagination. It is truly devastating for the nation to lose such a number of young and promising Kenyans. Our hearts are heavy. Our thoughts and prayers are with you and your families during this tragic moment.
Up north, Algerian socialist candidate Yusuf Al-Chiche has cast his ballot at a polling station in the city of Tizi Ouzou. Algerians began voting on Saturday in an election in which the incumbent president, Abdelmajid Tebboune, is widely expected to secure a second term, is hoping for a high turnout. Polling stations opened at 8 a.m. local time and will close at 7 p.m. Initial result may be available by Saturday night, while the official announcement from the Electoral Authority is expected by Sunday.
اليوم صناعة المستقبل تبدأ اليوم بالخروج وبالتصويت لصالح مشروعنا الرئاسي رؤية وبالخروج نهائياً من ثقافة العزوف واليأس. اليوم صناعة المستقبل تبدأ اليوم بالخروج وبالتصويت لصالح مشروعنا الرئاسي رؤية وبالخروج نهائيا من ثقافة العزوف.
Still ahead, thousands protest against Honduran government over end of treaty with U.S. Details shortly. Stay with us. Thousands of right-wing opponents marched with torches in Honduras against the government of leftist Xiomara Castro for cancelling the extradition treaty with the United States that allowed the imprisonment of 50 drug traffickers. Earlier on Wednesday, President Castro ordered a denunciation or unilateral pullout of a treaty in international law and accused Washington of meddling in her country's affairs. U.S. Ambassador to Honduras, Laura Dogo had earlier told local TV reporters the United States were concerned after a meeting last week between Honduran Defense Minister Jose Manuel Zelaya and his Venezuelan counterpart Vladimir Padrino. Zelaya was joined by the country's head of military Joint Chiefs of Staff. Dogo said she was surprised they met with drug traffickers.
Es para afuera que van, porque Honduras no los quiere. Y aquellos que enarbolaban aquella bandera diciendo que los nacionalistas eran narcotraficantes, al fin y al cabo también ellos pertenecían a ese mismo clan.
The crew of a plane that crashed in Brazil last month had reported a failure in its de-icing system. Videos showed the Viopas airline flight in a downward spin, falling almost vertically before it crashed into a residential area in the town of Vinhedo, some 80 kilometers northwest of Brazil's financial capital, Sao Paulo, on August 9th. Though the initial report notes that very icy conditions, it did not point to a specific cause of the crash in which all 62 people on board died. A minute before the ATR 72-500 plane started to lose altitude, the co-pilot noticed a lot of ice, according to the report released by Brazil's Aeronautical Accident Investigation and Prevention Center.
O que nós temos hoje são informações de voz, né, que por uma vez o piloto comentou que haveria um mau funcionamento no sistema de degelo, porém essa informação não consta no FDR, é que a aeronave não tinha nada reportado em seus manuais de manutenção que impossibilitava a decolagem daquela aeronave. Mais uma vez, era uma aeronave certificada para voar em condições de gelo, com uma tripulação treinada, com informações meteorológicas disponíveis e que em nenhum momento houve declaração de emergência por parte da tripulação.
Quando investigamos, nós estamos montando um quebra-cabeças. Para montar um quebra-cabeças, você necessita primeiro saber se você tem todas aquelas peças.
In sports, Enyiba's head coach, Yemi Olanrewaju, has expressed the team's readiness for their 2024-25 Nigeria Premier Football League season opener against Heartland FC in Owerri on Sunday. Speaking to Enyiba media ahead of the game, Olanrewaju said the team has all it takes to begin the league season with a win against Heartland. The Aba Elephants won the league title 2 seasons ago when Yema was the assistant to now Rivers United head coach Finidi George. However, the young tactician, who has now been given the mantle to lead the club, is keen to make a mark with the side of this season. Issa Ogunkunle claims bronze medal for Nigeria in para-table tennis. Nigeria's Issa Ogunkunle put everything into his march against South Korea's Young Gun Kim, but it was the more experienced World 2 who came out tops, winning the semi-final match to progress to the final. Despite winning the first set, Ogunkunle lost the match 3-1, and he came very close to forcing a fifth set after taking the fourth set to a tie-break. In para-table tennis, the two losing semi-finalists will both get a bronze medal each without having to play a match to decide the winner. Nigeria's overall tally on the medal table is now 5 medals won, 1 gold, 2 silver and 2 bronze medals. FIBA Africa has increased the number of teams that would qualify automatically to the 2025 Basketball Africa League. The body increased the number from 6 to 8, while 4 teams will qualify for the road to the BAL tournament. The 8 automatic spots include Tunisia, Angola, Senegal, Rwanda, Nigeria, Egypt, South Africa and Morocco. Meanwhile, ahead of the 2025 BAL season, South Africa will host the playoffs and finals, while there will be a new host for 2 conferences, including Rwanda, Morocco and Senegal. And that's all on the news. Let's take a look again at some of our major stories. Ajuri Ngelale has stepped down as President Tinubu's spokesperson. NNPC has said no guarantee of lower petrol prices despite Dangote refinery coming on board. We also told you that Kenya's school fire death toll has risen to 18. Send your outage report to the WhatsApp number on the screen and follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch us live on DSTV, channel 422, Star Times, channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Adebola Adedugba.